We work so you can play.
So the first thing we have to do is move. Now, at the beginning of your movement phase, you have to declare whether or not you are going to try to charge. And in order to declare a charge, you have to actually be within charge distance. And a charge distance is your movement distance that it says for your units, plus you roll 2d6. So your charge is a variable charge. For example, the Tomb Kings have a movement of 4 inches. So on a regular movement, they could move just 4 inches. However, if they declare a charge, they could move 4 plus 2d6. The only way, though, that I am allowed to declare a charge is if I am in range of a possible charge. So 12 would be the highest I could roll, and so 12 plus 4 is 16. So I could measure and say, yep, we're within 16, so I could do a charge. Now, the chances of me rolling a double 6 are pretty bad, so I'm not actually going to declare a charge. Instead, I'm going to do what's called a march, and a march is where you move double your movement speed. Now, normally Tomb Kings can't march, but we're going to ignore that rule right now, so just in case you're watching this. So come down here, and we're going to see exactly how you decide to move. Now, in a movement, you basically, let's say that they're moving just 4 inches. So I could put the 4-inch mark right here, and I could just move them forward 4 inches. That is a 4-inch movement. There's also ways that you can move your troops by turning and reforming. And so, for example, one of them would be a wheel move, and that's where you want to turn. Basically what you have to do is you have to choose one point, and you have to pivot on that point. So if I wanted to, during my move, I wanted to turn, then let's say I started off doing that. So if I measure right here, I see that I've now moved 2 inches already. So that was 2 inches of movement just to go right there. And then another 2 inches to go forward. So that's 4 inches. Now let's say I want to turn and go back. So I could swivel again and go another 2 inches, and then move 2 inches more. That's 8 inches in total. So that is my total movement. Now where you charge is actually important. If you just charge the front, then it's just going to be a normal combat. And if they have shields, they're going to be able to use them against you. If you charge in the sides, you're going to have extra bonuses when it comes to resolving how the combat finishes. On top of that, shields will have no effect. And there'll be less people that can fight back because they won't have all the bonuses that you will see. So that was the movement. Then we have the magic and shooting, which we're ignoring, and then we have close combat. There's no close combat going on, nobody's touching. Therefore, we just skip over to the Dark Elves' turn. So now the Dark Elves are going to go. Now they are a little faster than Tomb Kings. They can move 5 inches rather than 4 inches. Now because they're so close, they are going to declare a charge. Now in order for them to make it, we measure the closest points. So this point to this point is just under 10 inches. So with a 5-inch movement, they're going to need to roll 5 or higher in order for them to be able to charge. So let's roll. Oh, they rolled exactly 5 for their charge. And so what we can do here is they're going to move their 10 inches, and as soon as they make contact, you turn them. So even though this is going to bring them a little past their 10 inches, you turn them to face who they're fighting. Now, unfortunately, because of the way the weapons are sometimes modeled, you're not able to get them into base-to-base contact, so you have to be reasonable. Or there might be something in your way, like there might be a rock right here that stops them from getting to base-to-base contact. For all intents and purposes, though, they are touching and they are fighting. So now that was their movement phase. They declared the charge, they resolved it. If there was other units to move, they would move after the charges are done. And then we have our magic and shooting, which none happens. And then we will have our actual close combat phase. And now we actually have a close combat going on. So to determine who hits first, you look at the initiative of the unit. The initiative of the Dark Elves are 5. The initiative of the Tomb Kings is 2. So since the initiative of the Dark Elves is higher, they are going to strike first. And so any kills that they get won't be able to hit back in close combat. Now, the people who can fight in close combat is the first rank. So you can see that these are ranks right here. So the first rank can fight, as well as the second rank can fight. Now the second rank can only assist in the fighting. So they only get to add 1 attack each. So for every, they're basically supporting the guys in front. So normally these Corsairs would get 2 attacks each. So they actually get to attack twice each. But the ones in the back, because they're just supporting, only add 1 attack each. The Tomb Kings are going to do the same thing, except they only actually have 1 attack each anyways. So they're only going to be able to do 10 attacks in total. Now, if either side had spears, they would actually be able to do 1 rank deeper. So if the skeletons were all armed with spears, they would actually be able to attack with 3 ranks or 15 skeletons. So it might be a good idea for you to give them that upgrade if you want to make that really thick rank of creatures worth it. So the Dark Elves are going to go first. So let's calculate how many attacks they get. So we have 5 guys in the front, and because they have 2 weapons each, they're actually going to get 2 attacks each. Now, the guy in the middle is actually a champion, and he gets an extra attack. So he's a special character in there. So they have a musician, a champion, and a standard bearer. And so we have 2 attacks plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. And so that equals 11. Now each of the guys in the back can contribute 1 extra attack, so there's 5 more attacks. So we have 16 attacks in total. So that's a lot of attacks that they're bringing down to bear on the Tomb Kings. So I have 16 dice in my hand, and what you do is you compare the weapon skills of the 2 groups to see what you have to roll. Now I'm not going to go through all that right now because there's a table and everything. Suffice it to say, in order for the Dark Elves to hit the Tomb Kings, they need to roll 3 or higher. For the Tomb Kings to hit the Dark Elves, they're going to need to roll 4 or higher to hit them. So let's roll to see how many of the Dark Elves actually hit the Tomb Kings. That was actually a very good roll. Only 4 of the attacks missed. So we're going to just remove those dice to show that they're missing. Now we need to roll to see how many of them actually injure the Tomb King. Now the way you do this is you compare the strength of the attacker to the toughness of the defender. I'm not going to go over how to do that exactly. There's basically a table that you compare it. Suffice it to say, the Dark Elves hitting the Tomb Kings and vice versa, they wound each other on 4 pluses. So we take all of the hits and we're going to roll, and any 4 pluses will be a wound on the Tomb Kings. Once again, another very good roll. Only 5 of them managed to miss. So now the Tomb Kings have to roll to see if their armor stops any of the attacks. Now because the Tomb King skeletons have light armor and a shield, they get what's called a 5+ armor save. And basically what that means is I take all of these dice, all of the wounds, and I roll, and any 5 pluses, ignore them. So let's roll to see how many of them are saved. Only 1 of them manages to save, so all the rest are still wounds. Now there's one additional rule that they have. Because they're carrying shields, there's a chance they're going to be able to deflect the blows because they're being hit from the front. And the way we represent that is we take any that got through and we roll again, and if any 6s are rolled, those are ignored as well. So it won't happen very often, but it's just the off chance that a shield manages to deflect a blow. So no 6s were rolled. So we actually have 6 casualties from the skeletons. And now we remove those casualties from the back, in the last rank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You never remove the standard bearer, the musician, or champion until very last. So it's always regular troops that get destroyed first. I'm going to keep these guys nearby because it actually matters how many died when we finish the combat. So now that the Dark Elves are done, it's time for the Tomb Kings to hit back. So we have 5 in the front with 5 supporting. So that's 10 attacks in total. Now I already said that in order for the Tomb King skeletons to hit the Dark Elf Corsairs, it's going to be a 4+ to hit. And they didn't roll so well. 5 out of those hit. Well, I guess that's about average because 4+ would be 50-50. So now for them to wound them, they're going to need another 4+. So they managed to wound 3 times. Now the Dark Elf Corsairs only have light armor. Because they have 2 hand weapons, they don't have a shield. So they only get to stop damage on a 6+. So any 6s that are rolled out of these 3 will stop the wounds. So them, like the skeletons, they failed to stop any of the damage that came through. So 3 of them die. Once again, we take it from the back rank. 1, 2, 3. We never take the champion or the musician or the standard bearer away until the very end.